Hello everyone, this is Christian Maldex at Interactive, and in this video we are going to add a couple more models to our state, in particular relating to our account. So right now the account just consists of a name, which is not interesting. What we're going to add is the way to maintain deposits and securities associated with the account. So by the time that we're done here, if we look at our base state for Vuex, come on. Nope, I'm already looking at it. So what we'll have in here are deposits, so our state accounts deposits. We'll have a deposit for an account. We'll add a few just in development so we can see what's going on, and then we're all going to add the state account securities, again, some securities so that we can see what's going on. That's what we're going to focus on in this video. Alright, as usual, I'd like to get started by saying thank you for watching the video and for subscribing. And of course, if you're not a subscriber and you find the video interesting or helpful, I hope that you'll please consider subscribing. So with that said, let's go ahead and get started here. So we're going to start by, or in this video, focus on adding in those states. So we're going to start by giving us some constants. So in the store constants file, we need to add a couple of them for our accounts, securities, and deposits. So we have our account deposits and securities. So now we can add to our store. So we're good with the constants now. So let's start by adding in new file, account, deposits, model.ts. So we're going to import from @store/account model, and we're going to first create our interface, which will be our account deposit model config. Inside of there we'll have the account ID, which is a number, the amount, number, date, and ID. These are of course the sort of properties that I'll store when we persist this at some point, or persist the store at some point. Now let's create export class account deposit model itself. So as again, what we'll do, of course the account won't be stored, and I like to put the underscore there. So it may or may not be set. So that'll be an account model. And in order to set it, we'll need the ID for the account. Private, we'll have an amount. How much did you deposit? When, so the date, and the ID of the deposit itself. So here we'll have a public get the account. So again, this may or may not exist. So we'll say type of this dot account. If that's undefined, let's just throw new error. The account has not been defined. Why is the account capitalized? Who knows? And then we just return this dot account if it has been set. Perfect. And going with that, we need to be able to set it. So set the account. These others will just, they're nothing special here, so we'll just do some copy and pasting. So we have the getter and setter for an account ID, getter and setter for the amount, and let's just copy them both in. So we'll have the get and set for date and the ID of the account itself, and we need to have our constructor. We'll have our config passed in, and from there we can set the account ID, account ID. As a matter of fact, I'm not, well, you know, we may want to change which account it belongs to. Maybe I made a mistake when I added it. Instead of having to delete and re-enter, we can just swap over the account. Yeah, so we'll have the config.date and this .id, config.id. Do it right. We're in JavaScript. So we can save that. Gotten rid of all of our little squigglies, so we're good there. That's one model down. Next one up. So this one is the account security model TS. So we do the same thing. We need to import the account model, whereas we only had to do one import for the deposit. This is the bridge between an account and the security model, so we'll need to import it as well. As usual, the interface, accounts, security, model, config. Follow the plan. Got our number, ID, security may or may not be set. And to be able to set it, we'll have the ID and shares. So how many do you own? So we have our config there. Export our class. Account security model. Perfect. So we'll have our, as usual, just copy them in. We'll have our private fields, IDs, account ID, security ID, shares, squigglies all persisted, and as usual, the account and the security, if they get, I mean, of course, the security one will, is not very useful. We'll probably access the account securities through the account, so we may not populate the account. You have to worry about the circular reference and whatnot, so we'll see that a little bit later. So we'll do that in the same deal with the account as before. So if we try to access it and it's not set, then we'll get an error thrown. Have our setter. We'll then have our getter and setter for the account ID and the ID for the account security itself. And of course this time, since we have two sort of what they call navigation properties, we'll throw if you try to access the security and it's not set. Last bit that we need is the way, did I copy in? Nope. I'm not sure in the notes why I don't have a setter for the security ID itself. It's probably a reason for it, but just so I'll have to backtrack and take it out later. We're going to add it, security ID, number, and so this needs security ID. So now we got the setter. We are going to add one last one, just a getter here. We're going to call that one value. So this one will just tell us the number of shares that we own times this .security.last. And we need our constructor here, config account. You know, why do you not show me the one that starts in this file? So let's do this account ID. Let me just copy these in instead of typing them. It's kind of boring. So we've got them there. And I have this, which at this point don't remember why, but let's just figure it. So if the config security, if that's not equal to undefined, then let's set it security config.security. All right, so we're good there. Save that. Hopefully I haven't made any mistakes. So let's come here. So we have our account types. So let's add everything to our actual state for the account. So we'll need to import from those account deposit model. And then we also need the same place, the account security model. So two that we just created. And I also forgot, we need the states. States, account deposits, states, account securities. Perfect. We need to set up, let me just copy them in. They're same as before. So each of our states, where are we at? So each state inside there has the index to hold, which index we're currently going to add, and the items themselves. So we have one for account deposit model state, where we're defining that, index and items, and index and items for the security model. To add that to our state, we have deposits. So that state is our account deposit model state. There we go. And state securities. Account security model state. Perfect. So at this point, that's saved there. We're now getting an error because our store actually doesn't contain those states. Before we get to them, we're going to create some initial data here for us. And so account deposit initial state .ts. All right, so what we'll need, import from, we need some store / account deposit model. So we're going to need the configuration and model itself. Why is that not complaining about it being not in alphabetical order? I don't know. Store, and what we need is the account initial state. There it is. Initial state as account state. Import from, and so we'll get it from the account types that we just added, and we want the account deposit model state. Perfect. So let's start off with deposits. Account deposit model. So it's an array. Empty array to start with. Let's create our function for creating a deposit. A while ago I did this because I wanted to save space for things, but let's continue with it. So we'll have our ID. So we'll pass in a number, pass in the config. The config will omit from the account deposit model config. We'll omit the ID since it's being passed in itself. So we'll create a deposit, which is a new account deposit model. And what we need in there is the ID. And we'll spread on the config that we're passed in deposits.push our deposit. Perfect. And the last thing we'll return is the incremented by 1 ID so we can use it. So let index equals 1 to start with here. So if we're in development, node env, that's development, what we'll do is create some deposits, right? Instead of me typing them in, let's copy them in here. So we're creating a deposit, passing in the index. We're setting again because it's being returned, incremented by 1. We get the, right now we're just going to set the account to be the first account. Pick an amount, pick a date. And so now we have created deposits. Perfect. So what we need then to do is to export our initial state, which is the account deposit model state. So we need the index and the items, which are our deposits. So now we have an initial state for our deposits. We can close and run through something similar for the other count security initial state ts. So we need to do the same sort of importing here. So you import the configuration for it, the model, the state it belongs to, and the security model itself. And in this time, we need to pull in the initial states not only for the accounts, but also for securities. And previously, we've created a function, import from functions. We've got our sort function. Why I didn't need it for, I guess I already pre-sorted the deposits themselves. Could have done it here, I guess, but a little harder, I guess. So function, let's create an account security. And a number, security, which is a security model. And we'll do the same thing with our config and omit account security model config. We'll omit the ID. That's good. Whoops. Learn stuff. Perfect. And what we'll do, so we'll have need a little bit, it's a little more complicated for this one. So we'll have, so what I'm going to do is basically, I think I ended up doing like randomly choosing securities. So what we'll do is have a function here, or at least something that'll tell us that we'll check in the account securities. Oops. Helps if you define that first. We need the array that we're pushing this to. So we'll check in that array. We'll check to see that, I guess I used find. Could just use sum, right? Instead of find. Now I'm going to have to remember to change this, but okay, let's use sum. So what we're looking for in there is to see that the x.account ID is equal to config.account ID, and that the thing that we're passing in, the security ID, is also equal to config.security ID. All right? So that'll give us a Boolean to tell us whether or not the array already contains one of these. So what we'll do then is to say that if existing, so if it's already in there, then we'll just say, oh, that's why I used find. Okay, so instead of having our Boolean, what we'll do is use find. So what we're doing is pulling out the find now. So instead of a Boolean, we'll have it's either a model or undefined. So let's stick with the notes here. So if it's undefined, so it doesn't exist, then we'll create one. So account security model, pass in the ID, config, and account security dot security equals security, and it's being used before being defined. right, what do you want? Oh, there we go. All right. Account security, that's equal to the security there. And account securities can now push in the account security. What are we missing? Again, a setter. Oh, set the right thing, and then you have a problem. And we now need to return, just as we did before, ID plus equal 1. Perfect. I guess we're returning, so we don't really need an else. So existing shares, so now the thing is there. Fig.share, so just add to it, return the ID. Okay, so now we can do let index equal 1 to start with, and the usual, so if process.env.node env, if we're in development, let's add some to it. So account state. So now we have the account state for us right now. Initially in development, we just have 2 accounts. So we look in those items. We'll do for each. Probably mess up because we're not putting any deposits into one, but what we'll do is say let I equal to 0. Let's just do 10 of them all together. So now let's get some shares. So math.floor, no uppercase, math. I'm going to do random. Let's just put it between, I guess, 101. Perfect. We need our security index, so math.floor, math.random, stop capitalizing things. What we're looking for is a random security, so let's look in the security state. It's got some items, length -2 +1, so we'll just get a random security index. So once we have that, we can say that the security state item, let's pull out that security index. Perfect. Now we're set to create the account security. Pass in the index, the security, and the config, account ID, x.id, so that's our account. Security ID is security.id, and we need the shares. Perfect, I think. So let's export const initial state. That's I account security model state. I think. In there we have our index and the items. Here's, I guess, I decided to sort them. Since we're using random, it's a little hard to sort beforehand, unlike the deposits. And what we're going to sort by, sort account securities, what don't you like? Security dot symbol. So something I've managed to mess up basic programming again. All right, so now we have an initial state for both of the new models that we've added. So what we need to do then is in our account module, we need to add it to here. So if you pick the right file, it'll work. The module, not the model. So what we'll do is probably going to delete these things that for some reason I left in, even though we don't need. It's bothering the OCD. So let's add in, what do we need? We need the constants. So we need our deposits and we need our securities. We need to pull in the initial states that we just created. It's no fun watching type states. So let's do it here. So now we have our initial state from deposit state. Means I've typoed it. Yes. Now we're good. So we've got the initial states. So I must have typoed that file. Apparently I don't like that I. At least I'm consistent, right? Oh yeah, craziness ensues. All right, finally we can import stuff. And the last thing, easy thing, all we need to do is add them to our state. All right, with that done, we should now not be having any errors. Let's take a look. So here's the app. Open up full screen just so we can see easier. So let's look at Vuex. Which one of these is it? Let's look at this. So now we have inside of here, we have account, a state accounts deposits. So the deposits we added were on index 5. Our array has 4 entries, so we're good there. Our entries seem to be populated. Same deal with the securities, on index 16, number 15, or array with 15 elements. And they all seem to be set for us. Perfect to start with. All right, so I think that'll take care of it for this video. Just needed to add a few more models and states. Now that our move on to the next video, we can add a little bit more interesting things to our accounts instead of just having a name. But until then, I will talk to you later. Thank you for taking the time to watch our video. I know that your time is valuable. If you liked the video, please subscribe to our channel and click the thumbs up button, as well as share the video with your friends. If you have any comments, questions, or suggestions, please leave them in the comments section below. And once again, thank you, and I will talk to you in the next video.